Alright, so this review is pretty. Well, the movie came out a long time ago, as you can tell. Yeah, there you go, that direction. Green Lantern. I'm a huge Green Lantern fan. As you can tell, I got the poster in the background, and on the other side, I got a 5'6" cutout of Hal Jordan. Even some toys. Lots of toys. Dropping them all over the place. I got so many of the shirts. I watch all the cartoons with Green Lantern in it. I grew up loving the Green Lantern, reading all the comic books. I got an assload of Green Lantern comic books. Just kind of tell you how a big fan I am of it. And, I'm even wearing the shirt now. So when the movie was coming out, I put on my Green Lantern shirt, went right away to go see it. I saw it the very same day it came out. Don't regret it. Even though how bad the movie turned out, it was really rushed. Ryan Reynolds wanted to get this movie done. He's a huge Green Lantern fan, so I got a lot of respect for him doing it, but I don't feel he was the part. Where do you even start? I got a ton of movies sitting next to me, a bunch of my t-shirts sitting next to me, and I had to do this review because like I said, I'm a huge fan of the Green Lantern, and everybody asked me, what'd you think of the movie? I even wear the ring every day, all day. And I'll be honest, as a Green Lantern fan, I feel it's better when it comes from the Green Lantern fans, how they felt about it, than anybody else. Because the critics going to tear it apart, blah, 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 blah. So, coming from a fan, how'd I feel about it? I'm glad we finally had it. It needed to come out. There's another one coming out without Ryan Reynolds. I'm happy to say that because they're picking Chris Pine. Yeah, Chris Pine. He's going to... Actually, I'm going to butcher that name. Because, that's what we do. There you go. Yeah, did I say it right? Chris Pine? I don't know. Anyways, Chris Pine, if you don't know who he is, he starred in the last 2 Star Trek movies as Captain Kirk. Great actor. Did some crappy movies, but, he also did some great movies, too. So when him coming out as Hal Jordan, I feel he'll have the tougher side of Hal Jordan, the ones that I remember from the comic books. Also a little sarcastic, so when he interacts with Batman in the future Justice League movies, I think it'd be perfect. So picking Ryan Reynolds for the film, I don't know what their thought process was. I think it was more or less him pushing to have himself do it. I respect him for it, and that's what I want to see out of it. I want to see actors who want to do roles. Hal Jordan being played by Ryan Reynolds, being such a big fan, I really, really, really enjoyed it. But the best actor in this entire film was Mark Strong. He played Sinestro. He nailed Sinestro. He even looked like Sinestro. Everyone else was kind of, whether they looked somewhat, sometimes they didn't, but for the most part, it was well acted by Mark Strong. Downfalls for this film were the script. There were so many things that could have been done better as far as how the story moved along, how the character development for Hal Jordan went along. I think it got too wrapped up in the whole love story between him and Blake Lively. Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, she's gonna play great. Love Lantern, and I think if they do feature movies and she does play it, she would be great for that role. But with Hal Jordan, it didn't need to go into the whole love detail. That one could have waited till a future movie, and I think it would have saved the movie more if it did that. The biggest downfall was the action scenes, though. There wasn't enough that you felt like, all right, this is an epic battle. They needed to look for more a director for sci-fi films instead of the one they got. And, I mean, Tim's story, I'm glad you did it. It needed to be done, but he wasn't the best role or director for it. Back to Hal Jordan, when he... here's how you save this movie. If you're going to save it any part, and you had to pick one part, spoilers, as always, because I don't care. If you're watching this movie, or watching this review, there are going to be spoilers if you haven't seen it. If you haven't seen it already, well, you just suck. I would have to go to the scene where they're inside the hangar. Me being prior maintenance, aircraft maintenance personnel, that hangar is way too packed and crowded. Hey, you're not fitting all that crap in there. It's just too much. But anyways, off the realistic train. The scene where Peter's... I'm not going to pronounce his name. But Hector Hammond was a good character. You could tell that he was a guy who was really beaten down, needed that power to make himself feel important. And having that father who always put him down, didn't think he was good enough. He was a good villain. But when it came to that scene where I feel such an idiot not remembering the creature's name, and I feel absolutely horrible for it. Parallax, wow. Can't figure out that such an important character in the Green Lantern saga. Parallax and Hector should have had a battle in themselves instead of just zapping him away. I understand he is this great power when it comes to fear, but when you have another person who preys upon it and can harness the ring itself, if he had a yellow ring, he should have been more of a stronger character. And that would have made it seem, when Hal Jordan had to fight Hector, it wasn't this, small dialogue that they had. It should have been a bigger fight scene than what they previously had. And so if Parallax and Hector went at it back and forth, you would have really got the grasp of, okay, these are two really strong characters. Parallax came through and just destroyed everything. So we knew how strong he was, but Hector just looked worthless. And when you make a character look worthless and he's supposed to be one of your main villains, it kind of brings down the whole storyline. So what I would have liked to seen was Hector pushing aside Hal Jordan and going after Parallax himself to harness all that power. Let the greed take over. Let him harness the power of fear. And the fact he didn't, it was so quickly done, it made the story bad. And it could have saved the film if it was a lot better. So, in that big city scene where Hal Jordan is going after Parallax, it's just Parallax and Hal Jordan, and it should have been more of a fight scene over the entire city. More stuff should have got destroyed. It should have lasted a lot longer. I understand him using the gravitation of the sun to destroy Parallax, but we saw what kind of a glimpse of what was going to happen in the end, at the very beginning of the film, and I kind of hate that when storylines do that. You see it more and more. It's like, oh, that's going to be important later on. It shouldn't be like that. You should keep it a mystery. You should keep the storyline. You should stay guessing throughout the entire movie because it keeps the movie entertaining. You don't ever want to guess what happens in the movie, and I felt like with the Green Lantern, you could guess so much more of what was going to happen. The suits looked awesome. The CGI was A lot of people were asking me about Hal Jordan and his power, and they thought it was stupid that Hal Jordan used, the Hot Wheel concept to save the helicopter. Hal Jordan was new to the ring, so he didn't understand that he could do two things at once when he concentrated his will strong enough. But with the concentration of will, you imagine whatever you can to save the day. And so with the first thing coming to his mind, and again, this was another prequel because he was playing with Hot Wheels later on that day, it was the first thing that came to his mind, so that's what he threw out there. That's what he was using. And to me, that was okay. I understand it from the Green Lantern point of view. A lot of people didn't like it, and I guess that when it comes down to it, it's going to be a fan thing. The fans are going to understand it, but everyday person is not going to. So maybe they could have switched it up, made it more action-packed, would have made it better. But it didn't happen. I think this was on Netflix a while back, but I rated it a 5-star because that's I'm a huge Green Lantern fan. I love the Green Lantern. I got a couple of movies with me. Emerald Knights, great movie if you haven't watched it. Also got another kind of origins, First Flight. That's a great movie, and of course I got my own DVD, which, to say the truth, wasn't a great movie. Now when they do this next one, the Green Lantern, they've already looked about packing it so much of different heroes, and I just hope they don't do a Spider-Man 3 and they put so many people in there and try to give them so many main roles, or they made Spider-Man 2. You put too many important people in there, and we're like, well, we'll give you a bigger role, and it gets too crowded, and you can't focus on the storyline. So when they do this next movie, what I would like to see is not an origin story, because we have an origin story. We all know the origins. But with DC wanting to catch up to Marvel, they need to kind of skip the origin stories and focus on smaller, kind of, how do I put it? You can tell an origin story, but not go deeply into details. Make hints at it here and there. That's enough for people to be like, okay, that's how it happened. All right, let's continue watching the movie. You don't need to get overbearing with the details of how this person came to be. Marvel got to jump on it. You know, they tested Iron Man. Let's see how well Iron Man did. It killed it. It was phenomenal. First one, at least. And then, you know, then everybody had to have their own origins so they could build up to the Avengers. You're not going to see too much origins in the future, even though they come out Doctor Strange, Black Panther, Spider-Man's getting his own movie from Marvel, not Sony, thank God. So I know they're not going to screw it up, even though they are looking about doing teenage, still in high school type of Spider-Man. Back to Green Lantern. They talked to Tyrese Gibbs playing John Stewart, and I hope they don't do it. I mean, he's just god awful actor. I'm not a fan of the Fast and Furious, so I don't like those movies whatsoever. Michael J. White, that is my biggest guy. I would love to see John Stewart. He's a hardened badass. Send him through boot camp. You know, let him get the military experience, so when he comes out, he can play the Marine, he can play John Stewart, and he could do it well. Any of these characters that have such backgrounds like that, you have to do it. I wonder how much flight experience that Ryan Reynolds went through when, you know, he did Green Lantern, whether he knew some already, knew how flight was going to work, because you want to see that into the movie. He caught on very quickly because he was a pilot, I understand that, so we didn't need to go into details about how quickly he took up flying. But I think what made this movie for me, that was the best part, besides finally we got a Green Lantern movie, was Sinestro. He, the very end, puts on the yellow ring, and you could just tell, man, the power was there. He could do it. If they ever came out with the sequel would be so much better than the first one, even though I don't think you should recast Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds got Deadpool coming up, which I'm very excited about, and I'll probably do a little hopes and dreams type of review and what I want to see out of Deadpool. Anyway, subscribe to the channel, like the video. Again, if you don't like it, tell me what you don't so I can fix it. I need to improve. And yeah, if you haven't seen this movie, definitely see it. I would not say drop everything and see it, because it wasn't as great as it should have been. So if I had to rate it between 1 and 5 stars, honestly, I'd probably give it a 2, which is really bad. But I'm basing that off of just the criteria of the movie, not as a big fan of it. Me being a big fan, love the Green Lantern. I'll watch it again and again. I'll watch all my movies again and again. I'll watch even the Justice League just to see Green Lantern, because I am such a huge fan of it. And but yeah, 2 out of 5. Let me know what you think. Subscribe, all that stuff that I just said previously. Thank you.